Good morning, dear students. Today, I, Sunil Kumar Sati, PGT Physics from Army Public School, Ranikhet, is going to teach you about electric charge and field. Now, first, we will discuss that what is electric charge. So, the property of electrons or protons which give rise to electric force between them is called electric charge. And electric charge is of two types. It may be positive or it may be negative. If we talk about the SI unit of electric charge, then it is ampere second. Now the question arises how a body gets charge. So we know that every material is made up of atom and the number of electrons in an atom is equal to number of protons in the nucleus. It means that an atom as a whole can be treated electrically neutral. It means that it has equal amount of positive and negative charge. It means that there is no electric attraction or repulsion between two ordinary bodies. But when somehow one or more electrons are extracted from atom, then the atom become positively charged. Why it become positively charged? Because now it loses the electron and the total positive charge on the atoms becomes more than the total negative charge on the atom. And if an atom is given one or more electrons, then it becomes negatively charged. Because in that situation, the total negative charge on the atom becomes more than the total positive charge due to the nucleus, due to the protons. Now I have given you an example here. When a glass rod is rubbed with silk, a few electrons from atom of glass migrate into silk. It means there is a deficiency of electrons in the glass and an excess of electrons in silk. So the glass rod becomes positively charged while the silk becomes negatively charged. It means a body which will gain electron will become negatively charged, while a body which will lose the electron will become positively charged. Now we have the next topic, which is conductor. So as we have earlier studied in earlier classes, conductors are the materials in which the electric charges move freely in response to an electric force. Here are some examples of conductors: that copper, aluminum, silver, these are the good conductors. When a charged conductor is charged a small region, the charge radially distributes itself over the entire surface of the material. Now, next we have the insulator. Insulators are the materials in which the electric charge do not move freely. Glass and rubber are the examples of insulator. When insulator are charged by rubbing, only the rubbed area becomes charged. And in insulators, there is no tendency for the charge to move into the other region of the material. So this is the basic difference between conductors and insulators. Now, coming to the methods of charging, that what may be the methods for charging, we will discuss here. A body can be charged by either by friction, either by induction, or either by conduction. So we have three methods of charging. First, I am going to discuss the charging by friction. Charging by friction is the process in which two bodies are rubbed with each other and they acquire equal and opposite sign. So here you can see, if we rub these two bodies, so by this process, if the body gets charged, this is known as charging by friction. And in this situation, both the bodies acquire equal and opposite charges. Suppose it gets positively charged by some amount, so it will get negatively charged by same amount. So this is the charging by friction. Now coming to the second method, which is charging by conduction. The process in which a charged body is connected with an uncharged body and the uncharged body gets charges due to the flow of electron is known as charging by conduction. Here you can see an example. If this is the charged body and this one is the uncharged body, if we touch these two bodies, then the charge will flow from the charged body to uncharged body, and this process of charging is known as conduction. Now coming to the third process, which is known as induction. Now what happens in case of induction? The process in which the charged body is placed near an uncharged body without touching the uncharged body gets charges due to the movement of electron is known as charging by induction. Here, if this is the charged body and this one is the uncharged body, and if we are not touching them, we are just bringing them close to each other, then due to the induction, the second body becomes oppositely charged, and this process is known as induction. Now talking about the properties of charges, that what are the properties of charges. So first property of the charge is that it is additive. It means that suppose this is a body having charge 5 coulomb, and if we are providing this body to a charge of 3 coulomb, then the resultant of the charge will be 8 coulomb on this object. I hope it is clear to you. Now the second property of the charge, that it is conservative. It means that charge can neither be created nor be destroyed, but it can be transferred from one body to another. Here I am going to see you the example. Initially, when the body was not charged, it means that the net value of the charge was 0. But when we rub these two, then the charge acquired by these two body will be equal and opposite. So in this case, the initial charge will be equal to final charge, and this is known as conservation of charge. Now coming to the third property of charge, and it states that the charge is quantized. Now quantized means that if we rub these two objects, then the whole number of electron can be transferred from one body to another body. It cannot be transferred in the fraction. It means that if we rub these two objects together, either 2 electrons can move from one body to another, 3 electrons can move from one body to another, but it may not happen that 0.75 electron is moving from this body to this body. So this is the property which is known as quantization of charge. Now after that, we have the Coulomb's law, which tells us about the force between 2 point charges. This was the force given by Coulomb, and the force may be of attraction or repulsion. It states that the force of attraction or repulsion between two charged bodies is directly proportional to the product of their charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. So here we have F is equals to K Q1 Q2 upon R square, where Q1 and Q2 is the magnitude of charge 1 and charge 2 respectively. Here K is a constant which is constant of proportionality, and its value is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, which is equal to 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton meter square per Coulomb square. And here the value of epsilon naught, which is known as permittivity of free space, have the value 8.85 into 10 to the power minus 12 coulomb square Newton per Newton meter square. Now, what will happen if we have more than two charges? Suppose we have more than two charges and we want to calculate the resultant force on a single charge. Then, for such type of problem, we will apply the principle of superposition. And the principle of superposition states that the force on any charge due to a number of other charges is the vector sum of all the forces on that charge due to the other charges taken one at a time. It means that if we have several charges and we want to calculate the force on a single charge, then first we have to calculate the individual force due to the several charges on that particular charge. Then we will add them vectorally to get the resultant value of force. Here you can see if we have the charges q1, q2, q3, q4 respectively, and we want to find the force on q1. So what we will do, first we will calculate the force due to q2, then force due to q3, and then after we will calculate the force due to q3. After calculating all three forces, we will find that what is the direction of the force, and finally we will use the principle of superposition, which says F is equals to F1 plus F2 plus F3, and this will be the vector sum. So this is the principle of superposition. After that, we have the electric field. So what is the electric field? First we are going to discuss. Electric field is the suppose here we have a charge, then the region surrounded by this charge where another charge experiences a force of attraction or either repulsion. So the region surrounded by this charge is known as electric field. So here you can see the space surrounding an electric charge in which another charge q0 experiences a force of attraction or repulsion, that is called the electric field of that charge. If we talk quantitatively that what is electric field, so quantitatively it is measured as the electric field intensity, and it is equal to the force experienced by the positive test charge in an electric field. The electric field is a vector quantity, and if we talk about its SI unit, then its SI unit is Newton per Coulomb. And if we talk about the direction of electric field, then it is always away from positive and towards negative charge. Now we have electric field lines. Electric field lines, or the lines of force, is that smooth imaginary curve drawn in an electric field along which a free isolated positive charge moves. And the tangent drawn at any point on the electric line of force gives the direction of force acting on a positive charge placed at that point. So here we have the properties of electric field lines. The first property here which I have discussed is that the electric field starts from positive charge and its end at negative charge. So suppose here we have a positive charge and here is the negative charge. Then the electric field lines will move from positive to negative. This will be the direction of electric field lines. So this is the property 1. Now the second property is the tangent draw at any point on the line of force gives the direction of electric field at that point. Just look at this. Suppose this is the electric line of field and we are drawing a tangent at this point. So this tangent will show the direction of electric field at that point P. Now talking about the third property, that two field lines cannot intersect each other, because if they intersect, then two tangents drawn at that point will represent two direction of field at that point, which is not possible. So because we know that at a single point it can't be two values of the electric field at a single point, so it means that no two field lines can intersect each other. Now, what the relative closeness of electric field of lines of force tells us? If the electric field lines are very close to each other, it means that the electric field is strong at that region, and if the electric fields lines are separated, then we will say that the field is weaker. So these are the properties of electric field lines. So hope you have enjoyed this, and thank you for the patience listening. Thank you once again.